And candidate Knox, I would like to thank you so much for joining us. I know you're extremely busy.
Yes.
But just to reintroduce myself, my name is Lyndon Jones, and I am the founder and director of F.A.C.E. F.A.C.E is an acronym for About Family and Community Engagement. And what we do is we work with youth, support youth, and we also support families with community programming and resources that are designed to strengthen and amplify the communities that they live in. One of the things that I chose to do right now, considering that the city is on the brink of some serious change, is to get the youth in our program involved in the election process, get them to understand how candidates like yourself could possibly impact their future and their current state. And the young lady that I chose to have on to actually pose these questions to you is one of the bright spots in our city. Her name is Angelica Dotson. She's a resident of New Orleans East. She's a junior at John F. Kennedy High School. Angelica is an honor roll student. She's a recipient of the 2021 KIPP Black Lives Matter Awards essay. She is a member of the Delta Youth Organization, I believe. She's also a part of the Bard College Early Entry Program. She's in the youth ministry at Household of Faith. She's superb. She is superb. So Angelica, I want to tell you what she said. So I asked several youth, would you be interested in interviewing potential candidates for city council? I got some declines. Angelica said, I'll do it. I said, you're not nervous? She said, yeah, I am. But and that says a lot. When you're willing to do something afraid, like but it's just a testament to who she is, right? So Angelica, I don't want to waste any time. You are candidate, Knox, all yours.
Hello, candidate Knox. I hope all is well. Okay, I hear you're running for representative for District C, even though I'm in District D. Probably still gonna win. I have a few questions that are very important to me and most likely are important to people my age across New Orleans. Okay, let's get started. So, digital technology is becoming more dominant in the world as the days go by, especially in classrooms, as we've seen with the pandemic. Yet many families in poor communities cannot afford even a smartphone. Will the city ever create a way for these families to adapt to these new digital ages?
Well, Angelica, I want to say first and foremost, congratulations to you on all of your achievement. It says a lot that someone of your caliber and age has achieved so much, and that you're putting whatever nerves and fears aside to even do this interview. So first, I tip my hat off to you and say, congratulations, and I wish you all the best in continuing on that path of success. And the question that you asked is very indicative of the type of student you are and the fact that you have that curiosity. I don't think the city, in my humble opinion, is doing enough to the point of the question that you're asking. My view and position is that we need to do more of investing in our youth. And what I mean by that is right now we have a crime level that is at an all-time high. And much of that crime is contributed by young adult people. And the fact of the matter is we're not looking at the root causes of why some of those crimes are committed, and in particular, why so many are committed by youth. I take the opinion and the position that part of the reason is that many youth lack opportunities to actually do something else more constructive. What I would like the city to do is to emphasize and focus more on the type programming in the digital realm that you've mentioned, and get away from so much of the same old typical expectations of what they think youth may be interested in, or I should say what Black youth is interested in, such as midnight basketball. We spent a lot of money over the years and in past administration around midnight basketballs and programs of that sort, but we didn't spend a whole lot on the digital type, the STEM type programs, the science, the math, and the computers. And I think that was a big mistake because the assumption or the opinion that all youth are interested in is basketball, or all youth is interested in some kind of sport, is not a reality. For example, I'm someone who is not at all interested in sports. I'm more interested in things that would expand my imagination or expand my talent that I can use and go make money off of, where I can have more of a chance to earn money. People who go into sports, barely 1% of those actually get to the pros and make a significant money of being in the pro to support a family. Whereas someone who takes a career training in digital programming or computer science or math and science or something of that sort. And so I think that's where we as a city need to put more focus. We need to put more focus on vocational training. When I was in school, the emphasis was on auto mechanics. It was on construction. It was on doing more things with your hands. And then that transitioned to more career type opportunities, whether it be accounting, whether it be secretarial. And we don't invest enough in that. And so if I'm elected, those are some things that I want to put more emphasis on. Sports are fine. I'm not saying we shouldn't have basketball or football or soccer type programs, because all that creates discipline. And I know a lot about discipline. I served in the United States Marine Corps. I've served in combat, and being in the Marine helped me in all of my endeavors and success that I've had throughout the life, because it gave me a base. It gave me a base of discipline. And I do believe that's what sports give. But I also believe that programs that emphasize computers, science, math, technology can also contribute to a student's discipline. So if I'm elected as council, that's what I want to create or propose more funding to go towards.
Okay. Thank you, candidate Knox, for answering that question. With that being said, I will move into the next question that I have. With many wealthy individuals buying housing properties in bulk and using them as Airbnbs for tourists, many locals are being pushed further and further out of the city. Are any new housing plans being put into place to combat this crisis?
Oh, that's a big question there, particularly for neighborhoods in District C. And in particular, in my neighborhood where I live in Treme, STRs, let me say this, I'm a business person. I own a couple of businesses. And one of them, I used to flip, restore and flip properties in District C. And in my neighborhood of Treme, there's a lot of STRs that are concentrated in certain particular blocks. For example, you may have one block that has 6, 7, or 8 STRs. And it's not just in my neighborhood of Treme. There's other neighborhoods that have the same issue, Bywater, Maroney. And so, but in Treme, to answer your question, for example, I've been here over 18 years. And in those 18 years and in more recent years, I've seen STRs have some impact on the culture in my community. Treme is known as one of the birthplace of jazz. It is where the civil rights got its burgeoning. It is the cultural crater of this entire city. The problem now is that the people who were involved in creating all of that can no longer afford to live in this neighborhood of Treme. And for me, that is a shame. And the reason why they can't afford to live in this neighborhood anymore, the neighborhood that they built up the neighborhood that has become so internationally known is that they can't afford basic housing, because now we have STRs, short-term rentals, that's using those homes as vacation homes. And so now those cultural barriers are moving to the neighborhoods further away from the city. And as a result, the culture is leaving my neighborhood of Tremay. And so for me and my neighbors, that's a big concern. And so one of the things I want to do in addressing that concern is really focus on how we're going to enforce the laws that are already on the book and use the funding that's there specifically to enforce the laws on the book. But more importantly, I want to add to that where we can limit the number of STRs per block face. For example, Angelica, bed and breakfasts, which are somewhat like a hotel and somewhat like a STR. Our current laws only allow 2 of those in a block. And so what I want to do is have the conversation around only allowing a certain number of STRs in a block, so that all these neighborhoods are not overrun with STRs. And to me, that makes common sense. I'm not opposed to STRs. I don't want to take anybody's STRs away. But at the same time, I don't want neighborhoods become many hotel districts where people like you and me who grew up and live in these certain neighborhoods don't know what it's like to be in a neighborhood anymore, because you got people coming in and going out every week and every weekend. And that doesn't create a stable environment for young people who are coming up, and for older people who've been in the neighborhood for years and they're in their retirement years, and it doesn't look the same and feel the same anymore. And so I feel as though we have to do something beyond enforcing the rules that we have, but use some common sense approach that we can have a balance where we control and limit the number of STRs so they don't overtake neighborhoods, and so that we don't lose people who have contributed to the neighborhood and made it what it is.
Thank you for answering that question. My next question will be, the youth in the city become more serious about creating their own businesses. What contributions can be made by the city to the youth who are starting these small companies?
Well, I don't know if you know it or not, but I'm a businessman, and that's primarily what I do. I own a coffee shop, back of town coffee parlor. I own rental property, and as I mentioned, I used to own a real estate company where I took old blighted properties and renovated them and made them new again and put them back on the market. And I'm someone who has always loved business, even as a teenager. You can have my attention and we could talk for hours about businesses. One of the things when I grew up in school, it was a free enterprise class and a free enterprise program, which focused on teaching business skills. And in those classes, they had competitions on business ideas. You pitch your business idea and you win an award, or you may win some money. They don't do that enough now. So one of the things that I want to focus on is to create a program, particularly where youth who were like me growing up want to be an entrepreneur, want to be a business owner, where they can learn the basics of what it is like to run a business, to start a business, and to be responsible. It's not all glamorous. It's one thing to say, yeah, I own my own business and it looks like this, and yeah, it's fly, it has all the swag. But what people don't realize, Angelica, is that a business person works many, many, many hours beyond when that business stops. You're working late hours at night, and that story needs to get out for anybody who wants to go into business for themselves. I also support and encourage existing business owners to let young people come into their business so they can see how a business really operates behind the scenes. Teach them how to do the front end of the business, but emphasize what it's like to run a business behind the scenes so that the youth can make a determination. Is this the kind of business I want? Is this something that I really want to do because I didn't realize this is what it took to run a business? And so I think we have an opportunity when we start talking about our priorities and programs we're going to fund. This is a time when we would have a conversation where we could establish a permanent youth advisory board for the city council. Make it a permanent board similar to other city boards or city commissions, where you have youth like yourself appointed to a youth commission, for example, and that youth commission will meet on a monthly basis, and they can come to the council and give the council the advice and information from a youth perspective. I think we can get a better sense of what is on the mind of youth. The youth can then articulate and convey the city isn't doing enough because this is what youth are interested in 2021 or 2022. Old guys like me and old guys like some of the women who would be on the council may not be in tune to what is really on the minds of the youth. And so for me, I think it's very important because in my opinion, with the youth that I deal with and work with on a daily basis, they don't feel that adults like myself are really hearing them or even seeing them. And so if they're feeling that way and they're telling me this, I have to believe that a whole lot of youth are feeling that same way. And so as a council person, or hopefully soon to be council person, I need to know that. I need to know that when I'm shaping legislation. I need to know that when we're in the budgeting process, and with that information, I can then prioritize what type programs students and youth are interested in at this time and this place in our society. So establishing a youth commission, establishing programs that are entrepreneurial in concept, and allowing youth to have that opportunity and experience to get involved in something like that is something that I want to make more available, because I think there's a good number of young people who really want to go into business and be their own boss and not have to work for someone else. And the way to do that is to have enough programs available so that they can have that experience.
Okay, thank you. With that being said, I will move into my next and final question. So many youth turn to crime because they don't have the support for what they are truly passionate about. What plans do you have to create programs to help invest in youth interests in the future?
Well, when I talk, Angelica, I'm talking based on my experience. And my experience is such that my mom had me at a very early age. My mom had me at 15 years old. And my mom had 11 siblings. My grandmother was a housekeeper all her life for as long as I knew. And she had 12 children that she raised on her own. I became like the 13th child because my mother was basically a child herself when she had me at 15. And so everything I do in my life and everything that I've been successful in, I contributed to those two women. And I look through those two lenses in everything so that I can always never forget where I come from and always remain humble. And so what I know to be true is that everybody wants to succeed. Everybody wants to have a good life. No one sets out to be a criminal. No one say, I want to grow up and be a criminal one day. So with that, I think council members need to be laser focused on how we're going to address violent crime in our city and look at the programming that is need to be done. But we need to look at the root causes of crime. And what I find, based on my experience as someone who has a degree in law enforcement and who has worked in the criminal justice realm, we're not looking at this problem holistically. In particular, youth don't have the opportunity to get mental health treatment. And it is a fact that young people have mental health issues, particularly young people who grow up in violent neighborhoods, who grow up in violent households, and who have been harmed or hurt in some kind of way. And they haven't been able to talk to anyone about that because of shame or guilt or whatever the case may be. They don't have an outlet for that, so that becomes anger built up. They don't have adult people that they can go and talk to and express themselves to, and no one is really looking at them as having mental health issues. I want to remove the barrier from that, so young people who experience these kind of issues can have that outlet. They can have a professional to go and talk to, where they don't have to be ashamed, where they can speak freely and address their issues. And in addition to that, I want to be able to give funding so that there can be more employment opportunities for youth after school and in the summer. Because one of the other problems is that beyond the mental is the economic. Many young people don't have an opportunity to work an after school job or to work a summer job. And if they had that opportunity, they don't need to go out there and snatch some old lady purse. They will have earned and made enough money the right way for themselves. So we need to look at the poverty thing. We also need to look greater than that at the parent, because the fact of the matter, Angelica, is the parents themselves have issues. Some of them have mental issues. Some of them don't even have jobs to go to, or some of them are working 2 and 3 jobs. So we need to address why that is the case. We need to address, one, why parents are working 2 and 3 jobs that they don't even have time to spend with their own child. And the reason why, at least one of the reasons why, is that we're not paying people enough money for their work. We're not paying people what is called a livable wage. A livable wage is at least $15 plus, and we're not doing that as a city. And I hope that if I'm elected, that we can get to the point where we make it a minimum. Everyone gets paid $15 an hour. And hopefully with that, parents don't have to work 2 and 3 jobs. They can spend more time with the kid and know what the kid is doing and what they're getting into. And so for me to address this question that you asked, it's not just one answer to it. It's a long-term, multifaceted way that we have to look at how we're gonna address this problem. We didn't get into it overnight, and we're not gonna get out of it overnight. But one thing, Angelica, we need to do is have some compassion about it, but yet be serious on how we're gonna stop it, and not be weak on how we're gonna stop it. But at the same time, look at the root causes and understand the root causes and approach it from a holistic approach where we can stop it from occurring at the frequency that it's currently doing today.
Thank you, Candidate Knox, for answering my questions I had today. And also, thank you for taking your time out to be here with us. With that being said, I will pass it back to Mr. Jones.
Well, thank you, Angelica. And you gave some hard questions. I didn't expect that, but they were good. I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did a great job.
Great job, Angelica. Great job. Candidate Knox, I can't say thank you enough, and I don't want to hold you a minute longer. I really feel a lot of the answers that you gave came from an honest and genuine place. And it is refreshing to hear a lot of what you're saying. And to be quite honest, a lot of what you spoke on is why the organization that you're meeting with right now is in motion to address a lot of the things that you talked about. So no matter what the end result is of this, I do look forward to working with you in the future. I really, really appreciate the time that you gave. Angelica is appreciative. I know she is. And I hope that many youth her age get the chance to see this. And we move this city forward. I thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Well, Lyndon, it was my pleasure. I want to say thank you for jumpstarting this effort and recognizing the need for it, and taking the courage and taking your time to step up and do it. I think Angelica did an outstanding job, and when people see this, I think they're going to become jealous and going to want to take her position next time.
Next,
but also, what's that?
Thank you. No, I was saying, I hope her friends, she has to fight her friends off.
Right? Yeah, you know it's going to happen. You know it's going to happen. Not a whole lot change in that respect. But on a closing note, Lyndon, my man, I tip my hat off to you, because what you're embarking on is not an easy task at all. And it's something that someone has to have some real passion and conviction about, and it's something that someone is doing as a labor of sincere love. And I see that in you, and I feel that in you, and you're someone who, like me, regardless of what is going all around, you don't have to do this, but you see a bigger goal. You see a bigger objective that you want to accomplish, and everything else around you it shouldn't impact your vision of what you want to accomplish. And you can be doing other things, but you chose this very difficult task to embark on, and dealing with you. You're putting yourself out there, and you're putting yourself out there to understand their pain and their circumstances. And it's a lot different, I would imagine, in some respect, from when you and I grew up. And I just tip my hat off to you for doing what you're doing. And if there's anything that I can do, however this turns out, to help you further that, my man, I'm here. I do it in my business already. I do it in my community already. Me doing it at a council level is just me elevating something that I already have a passion about. Because too often, people like you and me, we're not even supposed to be here today as African-American males. In my case, being born to a teenage mother at the age of 15 in a rough neighborhood that I grew up in, I was supposed to be dead a long time ago. And I'm not even supposed to be at this level of success. And I'm not even supposed to be sitting here talking to you right now about running for city council. So however this turns out, I've achieved already. I've shown people like Angelica, it doesn't matter your circumstance or where you come from. It doesn't matter the circumstance of your parents or lack thereof. What matters is what drives you, what inspires you, and what pushes you to get to the next level you want to get to, whether it be a business, whether it be a school teacher, whether it be a nurse, whether it be the best auto mechanic or AC man, whatever the case may be. Nothing precludes you from doing that but you. And so if I can't get anything else out there, and my success is all in vain. And so again, if there's anything that I can do to help you, my man, reach out to me and let me know. Thank you for this. I really do appreciate it.
Appreciate you coming. And Angelica, again, great job. Candidate Knox,
Yes.
I wish you the best. Y'all have a good night. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Thank you.